All right, y'all, bunions. Worst name possible for a foot condition. Bunions are when the metatarsals, right, so these are the bones in the center of your feet, start to grow at an angle so that you get a prominent bump here where the big toe metatarsal and the big toe meet. So it almost looks like they're kind of starting to veer off to the side. Some people's toes cross. No, it's not the most attractive thing. Yes, it can be incredibly painful, but guess what? Yoga can help. I'm Sarah Ezrin, author of The Yoga Parenting, and we are going to work on our bunions today. So let's begin. We're going to come into hands and knees. I would love for you to have a blanket, 2 blocks to begin. And we're going to start in hands and knees, but with our toes curled under. And I want you to be really aware that when you have your toes curled under, the big toe, the second toe, and the third toe are greatly hooked into your sticky mat or your floor, even if the pinky has to act like a little bit of a kickstand. And then have the wrists underneath the shoulders and the knees below the hips. I'm just going to move these out of the way so you can see. On an inhale, we're going to shift towards the front of the space, like you're going to lower towards a chaturanga. Exhale, and this is where we're working. Shift your hips back towards your heels, almost like you're going towards child's pose, but stop about halfway. It doesn't have to be a huge stretch. We're just warming up here. Inhale, shifting forward. Shoulders go ahead of the wrists. A little wrist stretch too. Exhale and back. Keep your back as flat as possible. I know that's actually impossible since we have curves in the spine, but you know what I mean. Shift back a little bit. Now, starting to rock forward a little further. Inhale, pushing off of the feet. So that's going to wake up the plantar fascia on the bottom of the feet. And then when you rock back, go a little bit further back, seek the stretch, but also keep reaching the sit bones towards the heels. One more. Inhale, come forward. And then exhale back towards that child's with the toes curled. Sink way back with the feet. Walk your hands towards your knees. Pause. So stay here with the hands on the floor. This may be intense. This may be plenty intense. Or you're welcome to walk your hands up a little bit more. We do have the blocks if you need them. So you can always have the blocks under the hands for a little bit of propping. Some of you will come all the way up and maybe even bring your hands back behind you. The toes remain curled. Spread especially at the big toe, second toe, and third toe. Like you're just trying to take those 3 toes apart as wide as you can. I know for me, my bunions are so bad, I can't do that without my big toe lifting. But we can imagine it in our brains, spreading across the bones in the center of the foot. See if by having your hands back, you're avoiding the stretch. Sometimes for me, having my hands in prayer, being upright is actually more intense. And not to say more intense is better, but just notice for you what you need today. And then because you only live once and life is short, try to pop your knees off the floor. Okay, and let's come around. All right, we are going to come into a Malasana preparation, which is a squat position. I need something underneath my heels. You may or may not. Let's step onto either a blanket or your feet are apart, toes turned out. Come on into your Malasana preparation, your Malasana squat. And then just take a couple breaths here. Look down, just see what the toes are naturally doing. I can see, especially on my right side, my big toes crossing over my left. So I'm going to use my fingers and the sticky mat to spread the toes apart. And then snuggle in. So the shoulders and the inner knees touch. And yes, I know this is a bunion practice, but guess what? Your feet, your pelvic floor, your diaphragm, even your hyoid bone in your throat, all these things are interconnected. So the better you can spread across the toes, the more the pelvic floor can breathe and contract as it needs to. The better the diaphragm can lift and lower as it needs to. The better the throat aligns, the better the crown. Stay breathing. We're going to bring our hands out in front of us, and then you're going to rock forward. We're not doing crow pose. Rock forward, shift forward, come to the tops of the toes, and then right back onto the heel. Bum drops, chest up. Continue. Let's do a couple of these. We'll do 5 in total. Shifting forward onto the toes and back. Hips down, chest up. 3 more. Coming forward. all the way onto the toes. So I want to stay on the ball mounds of the feet, come back, inhale, rather than being on the tips of the toes or arm balancing, so that we're getting that stretch, but we're also training the positioning of the bones. Come on back. We can't necessarily change the positioning of the bones, but we can slow the degeneration down. Come forward and back. And then one more. All the way forward. Hold. Bring your body weight into your hands. Can you imagine lifting up through the arches of the feet? And then we'll come back onto our hips and onto your bum. I'm just going to face you. You stay facing any direction you would like. It's our last pose. Take your hands and we're going to weave our fingers in between each toe. And you can buy toe spacers for these. I like doing it with my hands because you get a little bit more control. And then with the thumbs, get hook right into the big toe mound. And now pull the toes back towards you as you press your heel and your big toe mound forward. And then take a full breath. Long. Exhale. Keep pushing the feet. Do a little tiny, tiny cat's breath in the lower back, meaning curl the tailbone under. Inhale, straight spine and long. It doesn't have to be a huge movement unless that helps you find the breath. Exhale, round. And one more. Now you're welcome to stay here or take your heels a little bit wider apart. Continue here for 2 more rounds. Inhale, lift up through the chest. Exhale, round. Just gets a little bit more mobility in the feet. One more. Inhale. And exhale. All right, and then for our very last one, release that. I'm gonna move the blanket out of the way. Last thing we're gonna need our blocks for, and I wanna come back to standing. Very last thing, stretching out the calf muscles here. Place your blocks in front of you. It would be great if you have a wall nearby. Step over the block so the heels are on the block like you're in a Barbie foot. Yes, it may be a little wobbly. Spread across the toes. I can really feel my calves working. And that's what tends to happen, right? The bones start to change shape because the joints are not being supported by the muscles. So part of that is my calf. And then we're going to put a little hand on our hips, tip forward, forward, forward. Now you may stay with your fingers on the floor. Some of you are going to hang fully. Some of you may play with grabbing your elbows. I can feel my big toe starting to crunch, so I'm going to use my hands, let it be on the sticky mat. Shift the weight towards the ball, the inside of the right foot, and hang. Or perhaps you're staying upright, and this is plenty. Last few breaths. If you are hanging, let's come up to standing slowly. And we'll step off the block one at a time. Look down. Think of one kind thing you can say to your feet. I mean it. Like, thank you for holding up my body. Thank you for always supporting me. And I thank you all for practicing with me today. I hope that you find a little bit of relief with this practice. And I'm just so grateful that you're here. I'm Sarah Ezrin. You can find me at sarahezrinyoga.com or subscribe to the YouTube channel. I try to upload little tutorials as often as I can. And just have the best day. Take care of your feet.